that you have been doing a lot of analysis of the Nordic region before entering it. It's still a little puzzling to some of us that why did you choose the Nordic region? It's quite a difficult region, isn't it, when you look around Europe?
The interesting thing why it was so attractive early on for us is that it's an incredibly well-developed broadband infrastructure. So your population is very lucky relative to the rest of the world in terms of having access to very fast internet, very well priced. So it's a much more internet-savvy population. So while small in numbers, addressable to Netflix is very high, both because you live a life that's more centered around the internet. You have high expectations of internet to deliver, and we have a product that's really great for that customer. Also, a very rich history of great film and television production. So we're no stranger to the Danish film markets. Netflix was the first distributor and the only distributor in the United States to distribute Susan Beer's film Open Hearts years ago. And I've always found that this part of the world is fantastic for great film and television. So the combination of this very rich storytelling culture and very broadband-centric culture, that it's a perfect coming together for Netflix.
Denmark has some of the highest broadband penetration in the world. Every family has the internet, and they're living on the internet. So what we look for is very technology-advanced societies, where there's high smartphone use, high internet use. Those are the early adopters for internet TV.
Another thing is that you're quite lucky because we don't have any similar services in this region, and as one specialist that has been working within this area, it has been quite strange also for me. Do you have an explanation why a sophisticated region like the Nordic region don't have anything similar to Netflix?
Well, Netflix is very unique. I mean, we focus on streaming, unlimited streaming, in the Danish case for 79 kroner per month. We have incredible selection from all the new movies from Warner Brothers, great television, some Danish movies in Danish television like The Crown. So we've got a great selection. And internet TV is the beginning of the future. We've had traditional channel TV for 50 years. And the problem with channel TV is the channel owner decides what you can watch and when you can watch it. Now power is shifting to the consumer. And with internet TV, the consumer chooses what they want to watch, when they want to watch, even where they want to watch. You can watch Netflix on an iPad on the bus to work and then finish the show in the evening. It's so convenient.
Actually, I'm sure that you are aware of this, but for the last 2 years there's been a growing number of Danish households that actually already is using Netflix through some little tricks with the IP address and so on. And you're actually in a situation, because that base, I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's something that you can measure when you do market analysis. So in a way you're going to compete maybe a little against yourself if those people stick to the American version, because the prices maybe almost double up. So have you any comments on that?
Well, let's see. Our price in Denmark includes VAT, so that's why it's a higher price. But if you sign up to Netflix in Denmark, then wherever you travel, if you travel to Sweden, if you travel to Ireland, if you travel to the States, then you get the local service that we have there, anywhere that we operate. So it's really a global membership.
So I'm actually one of those people in the Nordic region already using Netflix, actually, having done that for a couple of years. And I don't know if you have been aware of that, but it's something that you can actually measure in user analysis, behavior analysis, that people are actually already using your service. So one thing is you might be in a position where you have to compete a little against yourself, so to say. But I think the main issue will be obviously the Danish subtitles and the Danish interface and so on, but also the content library. Will it be the same content library that will hit the Danes that you have on the American market?
VPN spoofing is not a very mainstream behavior, so that's not the norm. It's very, very much edge case. So we're really focused on making a great product for the Danish population, regardless of anything of the other services around the world.
many Nordic subscribers do you actually estimate to have, say, in a year from now, and in the whole of the region, and in this country, this small country in particular? Do you have any guesstimates?
Well, what we'd like to do is to have every family in Denmark try Netflix and see for themselves, this is what internet TV is, and do they want to stay with us? And what we really want to do is just get everybody to try it. But that'll take a few years. First, we tend to get the young people, and then when they're really happy, they get their parents.
Now we have especially our largest, the biggest cable TV operator in the region, and they announced the same day that you announced back in August that you will be here, that they have a similar service ready for the market. We haven't heard anything yet, but don't you think that if they come to the market with a brand, a well-known brand, that they could have a better chance to the market being a local, well-known brand?
What we've seen in every country throughout the world, when we're now in 54 countries and 8 languages, is there's a lot of competition that gets triggered by Netflix coming. And it's always challenging for us, but it is great for the consumer. There become so many choices. Viaplay announced today that they're cutting their price to 79 kroner. And you think, well, why didn't they cut it before? Why did they wait until Netflix comes? But it's so great to be in the market and contributing. There's a lot of choices for consumers. That's great for them. And the Netflix advantage is this is all we do. All we do is streaming. We do it so well. We're the only one with Dolby Digital 5.1. We're the only one on the Apple TV, the only one on the Xbox 360. We're so focused that we have a big research and development staff, so we make the technology work so well.
HBO has announced that they will be on the market very soon also. Do you see HBO as a competitor, or is it a supplemental service?
In a way, it's a competitor because it competes for time, but it's got different content than anything on Netflix. They've got the HBO originals, and so each consumer now gets to choose. Many consumers have multiple magazine subscriptions, different types of content, and it's the same now with these internet services. It's so inexpensive at 79 krona a month that they can subscribe to us and HBO, or us and Viaplay, or us and UC.
Okay, I have heard as a consultant also for people in the content industry some skepticism about those services, and obviously people are suffering from the decline of the DVD sales, actually missing money for production. Do you think that now that you are here on the market that will be a benefit for production companies, and will you do maybe some kind of investment, and do you think that they're satisfied with the kind of economic setup that you can offer them?
Producers, we are a buyer in the marketplace. We buy in the very well-established television markets, so we pay license fees whether people watch the shows or not. So it's a very different business model than DVD. Whether or not the DVD is going to grow or decline, I really can't influence that. That has much more to do with the generational shift away from ownership, and certainly generational shifts away from physical distribution to digital distribution. So I don't think that Netflix has much influence on that, positively or negatively. So we're really focused on is the next generation of television, and the economics of that are still being shaped. But it's very, the good news is for producers, it's very much like traditional television. You produce content, we license it at very high fees, and in the case of Netflix, it's particularly additive. So let me narrow the discussion to television for a second. We license television shows in the complete form, so that's meaning after they air on television. So you think, well, what if people wait and just watch it all on Netflix? Some people do, but the vast majority of people discover a show on Netflix, develop a deep affinity for it, and then wind up tuning in for the first time to the next season of the show when it airs. A very good example of that is in the U.S., the TV series Walking Dead. We have been displaying season 1 and then season 2, and then just before in the run-up to season 3's premiere, AMC believes that Netflix brought 2 million additional viewers to the season 3 premiere on the network, because these are people who who never saw the show in the previous 2 years, discovered it on Netflix and watched every minute of every episode of season 2, and then showed up for a record-breaking audience of season 3, the largest premiere of any show on any network in the U.S. So we have this happen time and time again, where our license fees help produce better and better programming. and we organically grow the linear broadcast audience as well.
I'm gonna give you the sucker. But I got some demand.
Are you planning any kind of local investment in production, as you did with Lillehammer? You almost already got into the Nordic region with Lillehammer. Are you planning anything like that?
Lillehammer was a great success for us. We worked with Norwegian television in that one. We've got some more originals coming. Right now they're mostly in the United States getting filmed, like Arrested Development Season 4. That's going to be exclusive to Netflix, premiering on Netflix. We've got another one that's House of Cards, directed by David Fincher, starring Kevin Spacey. Going to be amazing. February 1st, we're going to release all 13 episodes at once of Season 1. And that's the first time that's ever happened in television history. And it will be the marker, I think, of the beginning of the new era of internet television.
Lillehammer was a really interesting coming together, which was through a mutual friend. Stevie Van Zandt made me aware that he was making this show in Norway. And so we had actually seen some footage and read scripts, so we understood what we were looking at when we got into it. And I thought that we could bring a pretty large audience to this show. So it debuted in Norway, and then a few weeks later Netflix debuted it in the US, Canada, and Latin America. And we have an audience in the millions watching the show on Netflix. And this is a Norwegian show that is 65% in Norwegian and subtitled in English. And the fan base is great. And the cast was recently in Los Angeles over the summer, doing auditions and meetings with studios, and they were stunned at how popular they are in America. They were stopped for autographs and people were taking pictures with them. So it's one of the real excitements of Netflix in a new territory is our ability to give a global footprint to very local content. I think Lillehammer would be a very regional show, but we've made it into an international hit.
So what you're saying is actually, and clearly this demonstrates what you're saying, that there's a kind of a paradigm shift in the whole TV business. Who's suffering from this?
Well, consumers are winning, that's for sure, because we're giving them a lot of choice. And we're doing, because of the scale of the internet and the scale of our subscriber base, we're able to produce very high quality content and deliver it to them in a really economical way. So because of the low cost of Netflix, there's no one, there doesn't need to be a loser. People don't need to cancel something to be able to afford Netflix. I find it to be quite complementary to television. We don't do sports, we don't do news and talk, we don't do live competition shows. A lot of the things that have become very popular on television dominate the ratings of television. And because we don't play in that business and we also don't compete with our suppliers with the same shows in the same windows, we've become quite additive to the marketplace. So I don't think there needs to be a loser. Producers make more money because Netflix is a new buyer. Consumers save money because it's a competitive marketplace. If you saw Viaplay reduced their prices today, I don't think they would have today if we didn't enter today. And we were able to bring a long shelf life to content that otherwise, makes a brief run on television and disappears. So we're quite excited that we can be very additive to the general marketplace.
How do you actually see the future for those open internet-based services like Netflix regarding the usage of bandwidth? You can see those analyses showing that Netflix takes up really a lot of bandwidth, I think more than a third in peak periods. Is that something that you see could potentially be a problem for you? And what kind of activities do you have in preventing people getting a bad experience from the actual bandwidth?
Netflix has lots of experience around the world working with ISPs to ensure that their customers get a great experience. Because when a customer pays for broadband, they want it to work. They want to click on YouTube and have it work. They want to click on Netflix and have it work. They want to click on a local provider and have it work well. And so we've done a great job of working with internet service providers for that.
So, but if you have this situation, again, the local operator, TDC, that owns UC, the largest cable TV operator, how do you think, you must have some experiences for the American market, the relation to those, if they have their own services that they obviously would like to favor, and then Netflix comes and take up a lot of their bandwidth. Have you had any...
Almost everyone on the internet is following the net neutrality principles. And so, for example, Virgin has a video service and is a major ISP in the UK. Same with Sky, and it works really well with Netflix. In the US, Comcast is both a data provider for ISP and also a video service provider. And they're very fair across all of the internet.
So you're not afraid of network congestions, or that any sort of traffic shaping should happen in the future?
Not particularly. We've been working closely with ISPs because the ISPs want to provide a great experience for their broadband customers.
For people in the content industry being skeptic and actually right now in this country missing money because of the decline of DVD and so on, now all those new operators comes to the market. Will they get money enough for their future productions?
We're very focused on licensing local content and Hollywood content both. And so for producers, we help drive the price up. What we'll see over the next couple of years is a reduction in piracy, and that will help all of us.
Has that happened in the American market? I saw some figures that BitTorrent traffic in the European market in general is like 22% of all internet users. In the States, it's only 10%. Is that due to services like Netflix, or do we just have less video privacy on the American market?
The role of Netflix has been tremendous in reducing piracy. So in Canada, when we launched 2 years ago, BitTorrent was the #1 internet traffic source. And then Netflix launched, and now Netflix is #1 and BitTorrent is way down. And basically Canadians are very law-abiding. And if they could get the content legally and conveniently at a good price, they were very happy to do that. And we think that'll be true for us in Denmark also.
It is a little unclear how large the Netflix catalog actually is. Is there anything that you could say anything about? How many movies do we actually have? How many TV series do we actually have?
It's more content than any human being can watch. So the best way to see the content is just to try it by visiting netflix.dk, and it's a free trial. And the reason we don't focus on a title count is because then you get a lot of old titles that don't really matter, and we want to focus on quality.
You have experienced a period where I think you were met with a lot of skepticism from the Hollywood studios in the beginning, and now the situation is different. Can you just tell a little about how have you experienced that development from being a kind of an underdog to be, well, talk of the town?
Well, I think that people always ask me, do studios love you or hate you? And I think that I don't really give much thought to that. I think I care that they respect us, and they respect you if you make them money. So what's happened is that as we've been able to grow the business, we've been able to pay higher and higher license fees for better and more exclusive content. So there we've become a very important part of the P&L of every studio and network in America, and increasingly with production houses and broadcasters around the world. So the big change is, I think there's a lot of people who fight new technology changes all the time. The VCR was fought, horribly. The DVD player was fought. The DVR was fought. HBO sued to stop the productions of the recordings of their content on DVRs. And now it turns out to be the most important part of their growth. So this is not uncommon for people to fight new technology until they inevitably play out. And what happens when the technology is great and the choice is better and the price is good is consumers always find more time and more money to watch great television shows and movies. I mean, every new piece of technology has grown the business, even though it was fought by the incumbents coming in.
And in this part of the world, we now also see the introduction of HBO soon, and the local operators obviously are also ready to launch a service sometime,
right.
Especially UC, which is a well-known brand in this country.
Right.
How do you see HBO? Is that a competitor? Or,
Well, this will be the only place in the world where we actually compete head-to-head with HBO. The rest of the world, they're bundled with cable television. But this will be the only place where they're offering a direct-to-consumer product and a direct over-the-top service that doesn't have to go through a cable middleman. So this will be an interesting thing, because people always talk about Netflix and HBO as head-to-head competitors, and actually only here in Denmark will it be head-to-head competitors. And the other services like Viasat and others, Seymour and others. What I find is that this is what we do. This is our core business. This is what we're here for. And for everybody else, over-the-top catch-up and SVOD services are bolt-ons to their business. So do you think the best and brightest engineers in their organization are working on those projects? Probably not. Do you think their best licensing executives are working on those projects? Probably not. I mean, their core business is to stop services like this, not to make them better. So we're focused on nothing but the direct-to-consumer, over-the-top subscription VOD.
And your content catalog that Danish users will get, will it be the same as the American, or are you still working on giving us a similar experience for the scope of the content?
Yeah, still working on it. The global internet is a great global distribution platform, but unfortunately it's still treated like a regional one. So we still have to negotiate title by title, deal by deal, studio by studio, window by window, country by country. So the deals, I think, over time will be much more multi-territory. For the most part now, they're all individual. So there's some great content in Denmark that we can't offer to our American audiences, like the Warner Brothers first subscription window content is not available to our U.S. subscribers because they have an exclusive deal with HBO that lasts forever. But they are available here. And I think that's there's one example of where on one measure the content is better, as good or better here as it is anywhere else in the world. But each territory has different pockets like way.
Well, thank you a lot, Ted, and hope to see you back in Copenhagen sometime, maybe.
I'd like to. You count on it. Count on it. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You were getting nervous.
Do you have a message to the people here from at Copenhagen Future TV Conference?
Internet bandwidth has been growing roughly at Moore's Law rates for nearly 30 years, and it's going to continue to grow. As crazy as it may seem, we will all have a gigabit in the next 10 years. So with fiber optic, it's just amazing what the internet can do. And so we will have real-time university interactions and learning, real-time telemedicine, video conferencing from home, and amazing television services like Netflix and many others. This is one of the most exciting times to ever be in the internet television business.